Hello everyone, this is Cardmates. In this video, we want to tell you about 5 interesting stories related to poker fraud or poker scam. If someone still thinks that you can do any illegal manipulations at the poker table alone or with a partner, then you're deeply mistaken. Our today's heroes were also naive, believed in the impunity and the carelessness of poker community. This became their fatal mistake. It's always fascinating to watch the actions of a thief in a supermarket, because when you see this from surveillance cameras, you think only this: oh god, what a naive idiot! In the meantime, subscribe to our channel so as not to miss many interesting things. Fifth place, Mario would appreciate. This happened in 2014 at the Borgata casino in New Jersey at the Winter Poker Open tournament. The buy-in then was $560 with the ability to re-enter, and the final prize pool after 4,812 entries was $2,325,000. This ill-fated tournament was interrupted on the second day, when only 27 people remained at the tables. The reason for this was not so good sewer system at Harris Hotel. It isn't a mistake here. The pipes began to clog precisely because the drain did not work very well, especially when you flush in the toilet poker chips for $2.7 million. Why would anyone do this, you ask? Everything is very simple. The chips turned out to be fake. But first thing first, when the hotel guests complained that they had problems with sewage, plumbers quickly found the reason, namely, as you already understood, a whole bunch of chips washed away and clogged the drain. The administration immediately informed the casino about an interesting find, as a result of which the tournament was stopped the same moment. As it turned out, these chips were fake, and naturally they also circulated safely at the poker tables. It was not difficult to the police to find out who was living in the room in which they found some more of the same chips. The poker player Christian Lusardi turned out to be a fake chips owner. The American was the chip leader of the first day of the Winter Poker Open, but on the second day he busted out and received $6,814. Lusardi was detained very quickly. Although he did not return to the clogged pipes, our hero did not live far. During the arrest, Christian for some reason fell several times and accidentally stamped his nose on the door. At least that's what the police say, clutching a white envelope from the organizers of the series. Somehow the casino missed the moment then fake chips entered the game. The reason for this was most likely that the main hall was crowded and some tables had to be placed in another room, where there was no longer any kind of game surveillance. Christian Lusardi played there and managed to enter chips with a total value of 800,000 into the game. On the first day of the tournament, some participants noticed strange colored chips in their stacks, but did not consider it necessary to inform the casino administration about this. When the game was stopped, hundreds of players had already been paid at the cashier desk, and the last 27 of participants had to wait several months for payments and be content with compensation of $19,323. Everyone understands that the participants received much less than they could have received without Lusardi's criminal actions. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison. Unfortunately for the player, he was also found guilty of smuggling pirated CDs that were found in his apartment earlier, about 35,000 CDs. As a result of which his term became even longer. In total, given 5 years for fake chips and 3 additional years for discs, Lusardi had to serve 8 years behind bars and pay Borgata $463,540 of the lost profit from canceling the tournament. But since the US judicial system is very flexible, a security deposit of $300,000 was established and paid as he was released for a while. But then Lusardi still went to jail, although he spent only 6 months there. Although officially the date of his release is indicated on January 22, 2019, Lusardi was conditionally released in the summer of 2016. It is not surprising that many professional players did not like the news of early release of the former poker player. There are still discussions on this subject in the poker community. Someone considers the punishment too easy in relation to the size of the damage. Others think that it was very strict. Although Lusardi is free, he still has restrictions. For example, he can visit New Jersey and North Carolina only for work, educational purposes, for worship, visits to the doctor, for a court order, or any other purpose if agreed of supervising officer. Lusardi is forbidden to drink alcohol. In addition, he is obliged to regularly visit a psychiatrist and does not have the right to visit online and offline casinos. Fourth place. Oscar for Best Director. Ali Tekintamgak, a German professional poker player, was initially widely known in the poker world after a confident victory at WPT Barcelona, which in 2010 earned him an impressive prize of $300,000. However, after a couple of months, the community found out a lot of other unpleasant information about the player. Our hero was accused of fraud at this event. Apparently, Ali was a secret fan of films like Rounders, and he got very inspired by them. In the end, he assembled a team of reporters which received permission to videotape gaming tables under the pretext of creating a documentary about poker. But this gifted cameraman didn't collect information for the film, but looked at the card of the game participants. This is how it was. And using special signs informed our director about the cards of opponents. You can follow the Guardiola-style gestures of scammers thanks to the video recorded by real operators. As a result, Ali Tekintamgak received his Oscar for Best Directorial Work in the form of imprisonment for 3 years and 5 months. The court found him guilty of creating an organized criminal group that carried out fraudulent activities in poker tournaments. A video of their activities has become very popular on the internet. Third place. Friends at the poker table. Third place in our list, the story that happened and maybe is still happening at the Hialeah Park Casino in Florida. For the first time, the alarm was sounded by professional player T.J. Shulman, who entered the tournament at the Hialeah Park Casino. The buy-in was $250 with a guarantee of $200,000. At first, Shulman was surprised by the two friendly talks between some players and staff, as well as the fact that some players themselves chose a place where they would like to sit. Then, by a quick calculation, he estimated that the amount of the prize pool is less by $48,000 from the one that should be. Casino managers also handled cash without any receipts. A structure table was not posted on the internet and was not freely available in the poker room. It was only where the players registered. Naturally, honest players began to see that the total number of entries was 1,061, which does not correspond to a prize pool of 215,000. Later, staff set the number of 966 entries as an official indicator. A payout structure table was also not provided. However, tournament staff said that 8% of the field would be in ITM. But with an official prize payment of 90 seats, this meant that there should be 1,125 players in the field. Why such a discrepancy? As people now criticized the displayed information, the total number of chips in the game began to be questioned. The scoreboard showed 26,667,000 chips in the game. However, if you add on the total number of player chips on day second, it will be equal to 27,363,000, a difference of 696,000. An adequate person, after what he saw, should have made a scandal, which in principle happened. Worried about situations, Shulman talked to the supervisors, and they told him that if he didn't like something, he could go play tournaments elsewhere. Without thinking twice, Shulman filed a formal complaint with the Florida Gaming Industry Licensing Department, which conducted an investigation and confirmed the player's suspicions. In that casino, many illegal operations were revealed, in which managers and many players who interacted very closely with the administration were involved. In short, at the casino, employees developed their own rules, which collected money from the prize pool and also shared earnings with the right players. Second place. I understand a friend from half gesture. And this interesting case occurred in 2009 at the Partouche Poker Tour final. Two wonderful comrades who invented a new sign language reached the final and completed it very successfully. The name of these gentlemen is Jean-Paul Pasqualini and Cedric Rossi. As a result, they took first and second place respectively. But the way in which they got rid of intrusive opponents looks very funny. And the funniest thing about this is that others noticed a conspiracy of these French players only 3 years after that tournament. On the video you can see what gestures they used, and the most obvious example is this. Pasqualini pauses, then inexplicably smiles when he folds his ace-king, not seeing the flop and despite the fact he has a short stack. It's very funny now to watch it. Despite the fact that they were eventually identified, the players saved their prize money, which amounted to 1 million euros and 6,700 for their respective first and second places. However, the GPI has removed both players from their ranking, and now they are officially recognized as cheaters. First place. Was there even a fraud? Gifted guys all around in the world tried a lot of different ways and methods to fraud the casino and opponents. There were funny and naive tricks at the time, for example, such as bending the corners of the necessary cards. It was the 19th century, then it was possible to do it. But imagine it at the World Series of Poker in 2015. This funny incident, as you already understood, happened at official heads-up tournament for $10,000 at WSOP. And the main hero of this truly interesting tournament later became the Moldavian player Valery Koka, who, by the way, took not the first, but only the 5th place with a win of $54,545. This sweet story would not be included in our video if not for one reason. After the Heads-Up Championship tournament ended, a whole bunch of accusations fell on Moldovan. The fact is that on the way to 5th place, Valery defeated Matt Marfiotti, Pratish Budiga, Aaron Mermelstein, Conor Drinan and Byron Cameraman, all pretty experienced and strong regular players, and it would not be an exaggeration to say that they all just boiled up from what they thought was not quite an honest game performed by Koka. The scandal began to warm up after Conor Drinan's tweet, in which he said this: "Bob of the Heads Up, hands down strangest hour and a half of poker of my life. Felt super used." The most active guys immediately pounced on this topic, which made Conor write a whole story on the forum where he cited actually not very well-reasoned complaints. My friend Pratish Budiga was the first to lose to Valery. He was in such a tilt that I didn't dare to ask him about the match until I found out that in the next match I would have to play with this Koka. Then I asked him for a few reads, and Pratish whispered to me that Valery was a bit strange. He checks the cards several times, stares at them from different angles, and then suddenly starts to tear you up on all the streets. I did not believe it, but Valery did it with me too. At first, he folded all his hands on all my raises, often even from the button. I then decided that it would be so easy to win against such a fish, but then he turned on the god mode. He folded against my strong starting hands and attacked when I had bad ones. If I hit the flop, he folded. If not, he raised and 3-bet. He was accurately guessing the strength of my cards. I played tens of thousands of heads-up, but I never lost like that before. As a result, a number of players sent a request for proceedings to the management of the World Series of Poker. Tournament director Jack Effel, Vice President of Corporate Communications Seth Polanski, and Executive Director Ty Stewart assured the players that they were already investigating. Polanski also started that the cards have already been checked, no special marks were found on them. Naturally, the Moldavian himself denied everything. "They're all fantasies," he laughed. "All the losers are very strong players. They simply cannot believe that they lost to me. I can't imagine how they can consider such a thing possible. I don't have the slightest chance of marked cards or resorting to other tricks." But there is a shadow on Valery's game. He already had similar stories in his biography. He is on the blacklist of all casinos in the Czech capital. Ambassador Casino Manager in Prague told about this, and he claims that Koka was caught and convicted of fraud. A forensic analysis of the cards not completely confirmed Koka's innocence, but at least could not prove his guilt, and therefore WSOP decided to stop further investigation and pay the player $54,545. After what happened, if Valery Koka continued to play, then during participation in any major tournament, he would definitely be under the gaze of the staff. But it's interesting that Koka was no longer seen in any of the live tournaments. Maybe he decided to pause playing or just was afraid of more angry regular players, who knows. Somehow it was a very strange story, and if he really managed to deceive everyone, this is definitely the best fraud on the list. That's all for today. Subscribe to our channel in order not to miss many interesting things, and write in the comments if you ever witnessed fraud and illegal things in poker. It was Cardmates for you. Bye!